Hello, hello. Mr. P here, and on today's episode of Cup of Tea with Mr. P, we're going to talk about something that, if you know me, you know I am very excited about, which is the speculation of a new RD model from Gibson. Hey there, and welcome to episode 15? Yeah, 15 of Cup of Tea with Mr. P. And today we'll be discussing the possibility of a new RD model from Gibson. Now, this is something that's been in speculation for quite some time, but it wasn't until this past weekend that things really started to get curious. Before we get into my latest little rant here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. It probably doesn't mean much to you, but the YouTube algorithm isn't much a friend of mine. So, button. Thanks. Yay. So, what exactly happened this past weekend? Well, if you follow Gibson's CEO Cesar on Instagram, you may have noticed that he made a story post playing a black RD with gold hardware through one of the brand new Mesa Boogie rectifier reissues. The next day, he posted a much longer reel to his page jamming the main riff that Tool's The Pot, because Cesar loves Tool. Now, it wouldn't exactly be out of the realm of possibility for Gibson to release an RD model, considering that on April 24th of 2022, Cesar reposted on his story a video of him playing a vintage RD artist belonging to one of the Gibson custom shop's employees. Now that could mean nothing. Gibson does, after all, have the certified vintage collection where they sell off actual vintage instruments, but they also make scans of vintage and artist guitars for later release. Which brings along the question, would this be in line with the 70s model or closer to the reissues that Gibson has released in the past 17 years? Well, let's take a look at what we can visually see from Cesar's video. Okay, we have a black custom shop model that would most likely fall into the designer series. Multiply binding, probably a mahogany body, 22 fret ebony fingerboard with block mother of pearl inlays, gold hardware, tune-o-matic bridge with stop bar tailpiece, Grover tuning keys. If this is in line with the rest of the ebony custom guitars, then the pickups are probably the 498-490 combination. And that's cool. I had one of those in my old Gibson Les Paul DC, and they sounded great. Super modern. Now, as far as the body specs are concerned, this is probably closest to the RD Artist reissue that was released in 2014. Minus the color and pickup configuration, since that one had gem active pickups and came in white. Whether in white or ebony, though, still very classy and elegant looking. Now, I feel I have to make a personal note here. I'm an RD player and have been since I got my first one back in 2008. I have 4 vintage and 4 reissues, and I think both the vintage and reissue models are great, and the aforementioned complaints that people have about them, such as the scale length and the top jack placement being moved to the side, would not even be mentioned if not for a certain apparently blacklisted from Gibson and Mesa YouTuber who has constantly talked about these 2 specific specs when discussing the RD. In fact, people who have never even seen an RD in person, let alone played them, make these statements because of how much he's actually complained about them. Fact is, this is a person who gutted their RDs and only really liked the shape of the instrument. Now, I get it. It's a really cool shape. Now, because of this person's position in the community, people sort of take their word as gospel. Now, I know I'm not some YouTube influencer with a ton of subscribers, followers, endorsements, whatever. But I'm a musician who actually only plays RDs, both live and in studio. And I gotta say, the changes made are not ones that someone who actually plays these guitars all the time would really notice. For example, live, I've switched between my main 78 Artist and my 2014 Artist reissue and found no noticeable difference as far as the scale length is concerned. And as for the placement of the jack, I'm sorry, but the side mounting is much more utilitarian than the original top mounting. Now, maybe Strat players prefer top mounted jacks. I don't know. But I don't like Strats. They're not comfortable to me. Anyways, back to speculation. I think that there is definitely a market for the RD. If this new Gibson custom model is anything like the 2014 or 2018 models, I think it could do well. The RD is a very well-balanced guitar and easy to play both sitting and standing. The overall sound of these previous models, I want to say, is very much akin to a modern Les Paul with a bit more resonance. If you're looking for something that's kind of a cross between the styling of a Firebird and Explorer, this is it. With Winter NAMM a week away, I wouldn't be surprised if this was announced and maybe released later on in the year, around September, October-ish, kind of like they did with the 2008 and 2014 model. Cesar, if you see this, hit me up. I would love to do a proper video for this guitar and would absolutely use it live with my band Scattered Light. Well, that's about it for now. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button below to keep up with my rants, tone matching series, as well as more RD videos this year. I'm Mr. P, and I'll be seeing you soon.